Hello, this is Gayle Forces question time. It's the first one of its kind, and as far as we know, hasn't been done before, not with a medium and clairvoyant anyway. It's been quite exciting, and that's really why I'm smiling. I got quite a few of your questions that are all ready to be answered here today, and I just hope that they will continue as you get a little bit used to me and how I work with I would say, I always call you all friends, because I think people you don't know are just friends that you haven't made just yet. So I hope you all as friends will send in some of your lovely questions and we can have fun answering them for you. I've a lifetime of experience working with spirit, and I love sharing my knowledge with you and with everybody that I meet if it's possible. I do run meditation groups twice a month, and I give healing and readings at my sanctuary here in St Austell. I also enjoy audience readings working in hotels, sometimes nightclubs, halls and churches. I teach paranormal findings with groups large and small, and I write several things in columns and features for magazines and newspapers, both locally, nationwide, and a worldwide magazine. The Red Bulletin was the Grand Prix magazine. This monthly column is your opportunity to get in touch with me and get to know me a little bit. Your questions are very important to me, and they make my brain work and remember how much I do or don't know. And if I don't know something, I will try and find out for you. This is for Cornish Living TV, and you can reach me via the emails, and details are on the site. So thank you for listening, and we shall begin. Sounds a bit like Blue Peter, that, doesn't it? So the first subject here is from Claire Richards. Hi, I'm just wondering if you could tell me who's around me. I hear lots of noises and things, moving. It feels like there's someone around, but I've no idea who. A simple question, really, and it happens to many of us. Sometimes we might be sitting quietly in our homes or out in a space that we're familiar with, and we feel as though we're not alone. And in Claire's case, I've tuned with the energy of her question, firstly through the email, and then as I've printed them out so I can read one after the other for you today. And Claire, I feel that you've got a loved one trying to connect with you. And it's important when someone is trying to connect with you is just to try and imagine that you've got a loved one that's there. And for yourself, I felt that it was a grandmother figure. And she did really come into me, and she said to me she's been a little bit worried because you've not found the job that you want to do. And that's what I got for you. It felt as though your pathway wasn't quite where you wanted it to be. And she's been a little concerned for you because you've been worried, and she wants you to know that the right thing is coming up for you soon. So it's a little bit in the future, but it felt like a job situation for you. And very often we find that grandparents do come in around us, but when they're in spirit in particular, because they're trying to help. And sometimes they can help just by sending their love to us. And that is, to me, very, very lovely. So I do hope that helps a little bit with the question that you've given me. One of the other questions I had was spiritual churches in Cornwall. I was being asked where they are. How do I find them? And sometimes I know that can be difficult. For me, it was quite simple in life. Back in my 20s, I stumbled upon the St Austell Spiritual Church, and I was certainly there for well over 30 years, and I'm still a member, and given many, many services. And I often find it interesting that it's more than services in a lot of the churches now, because they give evenings of interest on the spiritual matters as well. But it's not just in St Austell. We have Newquay, we have Redruth, Camborne and Camelford. They all have spiritual churches that are there. Very often today, of course, we can't get in touch with them on the internet. And if you put in an area you'll find that the spiritual churches will come up for you. Otherwise, there are many people that are writing about the churches now, and there is a Southwest Connection magazine. And in the Southwest Connection magazine, there's also numbers to phone there, which is a nice way of getting hold of them. And sometimes you get guided. It might sound really silly or strange, but sometimes you get guided to walk down a pathway or to go down a roadway, and suddenly you look up and there is the spiritual church. And what is interesting too, that I've found in the years that I've served many of the churches, we have loads in Cornwall and Devon, and they are scattered about a bit more as you go up through the country. What has become more and more interesting to me is that these spiritual churches are also popping up in Europe. So it's really quite a question you've given me there. Spiritual churches, I'll try not to go on all day, but they really are around in lots of ways. And if you wanted a contact of one in Cornwall, and I have got the phone number, please give me a ring on 01726 70786, and I'll do my best to put you in touch. I think that is the easiest one on the Cornwall ones. I can help you with that. I've got a James who sent me a nice question. Dear Gayle, I have got your contact details from the Cornish Living page on Facebook, which invites questions. Thank you, James. I have recently got into a new relationship, and 3 months down the line things are going well, but I still feel a bit sensitive and insecure. Is there anything you can see that will set my mind at rest and stop me from driving myself mad with anxiety? I would appreciate your advice. Kind regards, James. And thank you for your question, James. And as I read it firstly on the email, I had the answer for you right away. I felt that you had found your soulmate, and I just feel that, you know, you have nothing to be anxious about. As we often hear ourselves saying, please go with the flow. Enjoy the beginning of your relationship as much as your relationship will be to come in the future. The beginnings of relationships are really lovely. Let the flow go. But I didn't feel anything untoward around you. In fact, I thought it was a joining of two kindred souls. And once again, I thank you for your question. That is really lovely. A lady called Laura. Hi. Will I get pregnant this year? If so, when? Thank you. Laura. You might think that an unusual question to ask a medium clairvoyant, but we can get a bit anxious at times if things aren't happening for us, and particularly where having a baby is concerned. But Laura, I feel you've got something happening in August. So it's not too far away. We're just in the beginning of July, and my guides blew up the month of August and put it quite large in front of my eyes. So I feel I want to say to you, August is your time, and please come back to me. Let me know how you're getting on. That would be really lovely. We like feedback, so please let me know how you're getting on and when baby is ready. Okay, thank you, Laura. Beverly Parks. Beverly and I haven't actually met. We have met a little bit on Facebook, and it's my pleasure, Beverly, to answer your question. And it was a lovely question. So let's read that one. Beverly's wondering what my thoughts are on demon energies. She says, I am unsure if they are demons or just nasty spirits who was evil in this life, and have you ever encountered any? That's quite interesting, Beverly. We could be here a fortnight, I think. Demons is an old-fashioned word, really. It's where people would have often seen an energy, or maybe it doesn't have to be a human form. It could be an animal form. It could be any form, really, where there's a very negative energy, and people would say that was a demon energy. And they never understood, really, how they could help that energy move forward, or to be able to clarify it, clear it, and bring it into a positive way. And of course we do get evil spirits. I think that's a very simple way of explaining a very negative energy, and certainly, yes, I have encountered it, Beverly. Part of my learnings from spirit was to be able to work with and deal with the not so nice spirits as much as the spirits that are actually, you know, wanting to have a little helping hand. And you can smell evil. Yeah, you can touch it, it's not very nice, and also you can see it. Very often, as I expect most of you would expect, it's quite a dark energy. Very often I'll say it can be like muggy, it can be very blackish, and demons are more like shapes, and it is an energy of something. That's a different thing. You can have, if you like, you can have a demon energy attached to your energy, and sometimes people might have illnesses. When they come to me and say they've had a big problem, I'm thinking of a lady I worked with several years ago, and she said to me she'd had a very bad shoulder for a long time. They couldn't really figure out what it was medically, and she just came really in its aspiration for what she called a reading healing session. And when she was sitting with me, within a few minutes in her aura I could see this mass that was sitting with her on her shoulder area, and I explained to her that she had a negative energy that was around her. It took a little bit of getting rid of. I mean, it was a couple of hours work, and eventually we got rid of what I think most people would call a demon energy. And from that point also her shoulder did heal, and she's been right ever since. I've seen her in and out during the years. That's what I would call also a demon energy. So it's negative energies in any case. The way we're looking at it in either context, we're looking at negative energies. And you know, when you're working with spirit, your guides will teach you and help you to help these negative energies as much as helping the positive energies that come in. So I hope I've answered that a little bit. You know, I often find when I have a question, I could sit and go on all morning, but I really feel that that's probably answered that one, Beverly. I hope that's helped you on that question. I got a question from Anne of St Austell, who says, how did you know you were a healer? My answer to that is I didn't. I didn't know for a long time that what I did was from healing energies. I often found that I wanted to help people. I wanted to help animals to get better. If someone was poorly, I wanted to be able to do something to help them feel better. And it began with my gran, who was asthmatic when I was a young girl growing up. And I used to find when I sat with her, I would do what I call glowed all over, because I wasn't very big. And I think that's why that happened. I've asked my guides over the years. I get it all in my hands now. I get a lot of heat come through my hands, and it can come through the whole of my body. But generally speaking, I used to find when I held my gran's hand that I got hot all over. The heat increased in my 20s. When I was giving healing to neighbours and friends who wanted me to practice, basically. I was encouraged a lot by friends who said, you know, that used to help me, took my headache away, or you helped that ache I had in my back get better. And gradually I had begun to realise I probably was doing something. I didn't know what it was. And then I met a few like-minded people like myself. I met Mr. John Nance from St Austell, who's very well known for his healing. And he said to me, yes, you are a healer. And I went from there. And that was when I first found the little church on the hill, as we've called it, this St Austell Spiritual Church. So that's gone round in a circle again, but that's when I found more like-minded people like myself. And so it became quite a normal thing to me then that I was known as a healer. So I didn't know in the beginning, but gradually the whole thing, and it's still developing. I've got healing teams from spirit that work with me. I've worked with sound a lot over the years, and I note that the sound vibration really does help us extra trying to find the right word, but I'm just saying as an extra to the healing itself. Sometimes where you can't quite clear something that you can see in the aura energy, by using my singing bowls, I find that the sound vibration has cleansed, and it's very deep, but it is very interesting and has helped a lot of people. I'm looking at my next question. I need to have my glasses. Hello, Gayle. Do you have to have the gift of mediumship all your life, or can something trigger it? Best wishes, Tim. Thank you, Tim, for your question. It's a very valid question, and the answer to it is, no, you don't have to have the gifts all your life. I think it helps if you do, and the sooner that you and people around you recognise the gifts, the more you can practice and the more you can get clarification of messages, the more the healing comes through, the more you understand the work that you're doing, as much as the lovely guides that work with you. But sometimes people have, I would say, and there's many times I've heard this, they've had a trauma in their life. Maybe it's quite an illness that they've had. People that have had traumas perhaps from their life completely changing, even through maybe a divorce situation or being redundant from a job, and suddenly your world is turned upside down and you don't know where to turn. Well, not everybody turns to a medium, but having said that, people do search, and in their searching, the lovely loved ones that they have in spirit and their guides are often coming very close to them, and suddenly they might suddenly think, there's something funny going on here, because I think I know what that lady was going to say when somebody's talking, or I feel that person isn't very well, and they begin to get things that are a little bit out of the norm coming around them. And that's often when those people come to see someone like me, to see if they have a gift, or is it their imagination, or quite simply, many say to me, am I going mad? I keep seeing my grandmother in spirit, or I keep seeing my dog that I lost. And they'll say, am I going mad, Gayle? And I say, no, you're not going mad at all, darling. Not in any shape or form. You're developing on your spiritual pathway. And our pathway for all of us, we are all spirit as well as physical. And some of us in our lifetimes will actually develop on our spiritual pathway, which is really very interesting and a lovely way of life to be. Dear Gayle, do you see auras all the time? Like walking down the street, etc.? Love, Simon. I like this question because I think if I was going to be seeing the aura everywhere I went, I wouldn't just see human auras, I would see animal auras, I would see the trees and plants auras, because everything living has an aura. And I think it would probably drive me quite nuts if my sight was giving me an aura everywhere I looked. So the answer to it is no, I don't see auras all the time. I see the aura when I'm working on the spiritual way, whether I'm giving a reading or whether I'm working on the healing levels. And interestingly, when I'm in audience, I see the whole audience's aura as well as the individual auras. And auras are very interesting. Sometimes they're closer to the body. Sometimes they're a lot further away from the body, and the colours are like rainbows and all different colours, and pale to darker. Auras are very beautiful. And of course we also see the chakra energies, which are also points in the body where the helping hand of healing can clear stagnant energies that we really don't need. So that was a lovely question, Simon. Thank you very much. Question from Brian. What do you think about 2012? Interestingly, I have been asked that one quite a lot coming up to 2012. as well as the year appearing as well. Of recent, the question's gone quite quiet, because a lot of people on the spiritual pathway were predicting all sorts of things in 2012. My guides told me when I asked in a meditative state, probably 3 or 4 years ago at least, that 2012 was given a vibrational change. The earth plane itself was having a vibrational change, and we are becoming more of a healing planet. So there are many souls that are here on the earth plane with their learnings in this incarnation, and we are getting a lot of changes. We are also having more and more light workers that are coming to the earth plane, and a lot of young mums are noticing that their children are very different from the last generation, and many children that come here with their families and their mothers, they all want to go to the crystals. And there's been loads of books written about the crystal children. And it's like as though they often head more for the amethyst and the clear crystals than anything else, because their energy wouldn't really take some of the deeper crystal energies. So interesting. And they're quiet little souls. They're thinkers. They're creative souls. So a lot of the children and energies that are coming into the earth plane at the moment are really on a very spiritual pathway. So the earth plane energies have changed, and we're all tuning in a different way with much more clarification, as well as the healing energies are, I feel, much stronger energies than they have been in the past. So it's a very interesting question there, Brian, and thank you very much. We love your questions. Thank you for that. I think I've got another question here. Gayle, have you felt orbs around you before seeing them? And it's 2 questions in one. Do you see them with your naked eye or just on pictures? Simply signed, Miranda. Thank you, Miranda. Orb energies appeared certainly about a couple of decades ago now. And as in the Victorian era, people saw a lot of materialisation of spirit through mediums, different mists that rose around them, evidence that was more physical. And the physical evidence tended to go away a little bit. And then all of a sudden we began seeing orb energies, some with the naked eye, I do see with the naked eye, and some on photographs and in filming. And very often when we're actually filming as a team here, we get orbs that come around with me as I'm working, which is very interesting. I do feel the energy, not necessarily always see the orbs. I feel the energy of spirit gathering around me. And especially when my guy is very close, and I get like a tingling on the top of my head very often when I'm working with audience or working in this way, because there's a lot of things that I'm talking about in all different subjects, and I think they come in closer to listen and try to help and give you the right answer. The orb energies are very interesting. I was told through spirit, through a spirit guide, who said to me that what an orb is a spirit that's either been in spirit for a long time and has forgotten how to materialise as we know them, as you would see you and I, or they haven't got the energy, because apparently the earth's energy is very heavy and spirit energy is very light. And sometimes your loved ones in spirit or your spirit guides haven't got the energy to quite materialise or come through in a way that we would understand, so you get the orb energies coming through. Now they get very excited when you're having family celebrations. Lots of people now have brought their photographs to me and shown the orbs when people are dancing and playing music. We've got loads of photographs with those evidences on it. And of course, sometimes going back again to when we're worried, maybe we're stressed or worried about something, and you might have had a photograph taken and you're not realising that you've got your loved ones drawing near, and you get the odd orb that might just come up on the photograph itself. So you can see them with your eyes as well as on a photograph, and they also sometimes we get coloured ones as well as the white light energy. It's a very interesting subject in itself, and once again I thank you for your question.